For the past while, I'm sure you've heard the internet buzzing about the FCC and net neutrality. There are already countless videos discussing this topic, but today I want to look at how net neutrality directly impacts us as musicians and music fans. Before anything else, we need to look at what net neutrality is. In a free and open internet where net neutrality is enforced, an internet service provider or ISP must, by law, treat the flow of all data equally. Basically, once I've paid for access to the internet, I have equal access to all legal content regardless of who I am, what application or device I'm using. Imagine it like electricity. Manitoba Hydro sends power to my apartment. They can't charge me differently if I'm using that power for, say, my guitar amp instead of my TV. They also can't restrict how much power my amp is getting while allowing a different amount to go to my TV. If I use more electricity because the tubes in my amp need that juice, that's okay. They can charge me more based on how much I use. But again, they can't discriminate based on what it's being used for. In an internet where net neutrality is enforced, I pay for my connection and then I can access whatever I want. By repealing this, the potential for something very different is presented. Now ISPs have the ability to prioritize certain websites over others. For example, the provider Comcast could slow down or throttle my access to Netflix so the videos buffer slow or don't buffer at all. While doing so, they could create quicker access or a fast lane to a competing website like Hulu. Why would they want to do this? Well, if Comcast has financial interests in Hulu and not Netflix, which is in fact the case, it would make sense for their business interests. Without net neutrality, ISPs could alternatively charge you for equal access to other websites. If you want to use YouTube, YouNow, Vimeo, well, now that's an extra $5 a month. Maybe you want the sports package, NHL.com, ESPN, NFL, well, that's $3.99. This is a fairly simplified version of a dense topic. If you're looking for a deeper dive, I'll link some resources in the description. So now comes the big question. If there's no net neutrality, how will this impact musicians and fans of music? Well, we don't know for sure if anything will necessarily change. In fact, a number of ISPs have publicly claimed their support for net neutrality. They just didn't want to be required by law to abide by it. I'm inclined to call bullshit on that. Here's a list of times that ISPs have directly violated net neutrality. It's not like they have a squeaky clean past. So let's talk about some hypothetical situations that, while they aren't happening yet, without net neutrality, they are a real possibility. If you want to come here to watch videos on YouTube, you'll either need to pay for fast access to the site or deal with extravagant buffering times. This could, of course, discourage a fair portion of the traffic that comes to a channel. Someone with millions of subscribers could endure the hit, while for a smaller channel, the effects could be lethal. Of course, this doesn't just apply to YouTube. Spotify, iTunes, Facebook could all deal with similar issues. The idea that the extra money ISPs will earn will somehow trickle down to creators is absurd. As fans, you may see creators you love putting out less free content or disappearing, opting to find other ways of monetizing their art. There is the option that websites you visit will pay ISPs boatloads of money so that they are put in fast lanes and you won't even notice a change. But what happens when the next great online musical innovation comes along? The next musician's friend, musician, or whatever. It's going to be tough for a small startup to pay the price for that fast lane that their established competitor is in. In a similar vein, a record company could pay to have the services promoting their artists more readily available than the places that independent musicians use, like Bandcamp. There have been times where record labels and internet service providers have been owned by the same company. This isn't that far-fetched of a conspiracy. And there's potential for even nastier outcomes too. If ISPs can maintain their power when a certain political party has the majority, they might want to restrict access to content that leans to the other side of the political spectrum. If you find something like that Rage Against the Machine video buffering especially slow, well, maybe take a look at who they might be encouraging their audience to vote for. Regardless of politics, I think we can all agree that the stifling of art and speech is not something we desire. Of course, this is all conjecture. None of this is happening yet. But now there are no laws that prevent it. We're counting on massive corporations not to be greedy. And I'm not saying this will happen overnight, but if things carry on down the path that they're going, imagine what the internet could look like in 5, 10, 20 years. So what can you do? The obvious thing is to contact your congressperson and express your desire for an internet governed by net neutrality rules. If you're not from the US, maybe you're Canadian like me or from somewhere else that already enforces net neutrality. You can still contact your representatives expressing similar sentiments. The US will often set a precedent for the rest of the world, and we need to make it clear that we won't stand for it. You can also make an effort to support smaller creators, the ones who would get hit especially hard by this, by putting a couple of of dollars into their crowdfunding, buying merch, seeing them on tour, you alone can offset the lost revenue that would have been generated by hundreds of views. When you go to vote, be aware of where candidates stand on net neutrality and take that into consideration. And lastly, the reason why I made this video: continue the discussion. One voice may not seem like a lot, but when you can get others singing with you, you can have real, long-lasting impact. Thank you all for watching. I'm Samurai Guitarist, and I'll